us to share our thoughts. Uh, there's a theme that I want to talk about in the next few minutes, 5 minutes at max, about how we've seen rural changing and why rural is not the old rural anymore. And I want to put this in the context of the conversation that we've been having in the last 1.5 days about financial inclusion. Because if you look at rural in the old rural lens, the way you would look at financial inclusion would be pretty different. But if you look at it from a new rural perspective, maybe I'm hoping that this will trigger a newer perspective to look at what is happening out there as we've been seeing it. Our experiment started about 6 years ago. It was quite a crazy experiment. I used to run a company called Meritrack, which is India's largest testing and employability assessments entity. My worldview is some are employable, some are not. 2007, we did a crazy experiment at the extreme of unemployability. So one of the hypotheses that we tested was, what if we took one of the most unemployable persons on the face of this earth, and is it possible to make him employable for the knowledge services economy? Right? So the person that I defined is a person called Ramesh. Ramesh has never been to school, never held a pencil in his life. He's probably, says he's 19 years of age, has no birth certificate. Cannot read, write in his local language as well. And we kind of went around to villages trying to enroll such people. Ramesh was crazy enough to join the program. We said, come to Bangalore, we'll teach you some stuff, English, math, computer skills, logic, etc. We don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe it will be worse off by the time the program ends. Let's take a chance. This is Ramesh on day one. So you get the point. He's not even able to string a sentence in his local language. 12 siblings. Total income of the family is 3,000 rupees a month. They live off land which is unarable, about 2 acres of land. Ramesh spent 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, learning English, math, computer skills, logic, and being ready to be a knowledge professional. And what I saw at the end of 7 months stunned me, changed my life. So much so that I decided that what we are doing in Meritrack probably was not the right lens to look at. There is immense talent in people. Let me just show you Ramesh at the end of 7 months.
I'm Ramesh from Raichur. When I was in my village, I did not know how to write even my name in Kannada. In my village, I always wore dhoti. I never traveled on the bus. I did not know what's the time and what's the watch. I knew only 2 things: go to farm or sunrise, came back home or sunset. I had never visited a city. I did not know about city life. When I first came to Bangalore, I could not speak to anyone. And I also scared to touch a computer. When I started to learn in English, I was so scared because I did not know how to write ABCD. After these 7 months, I can type minimum at 40 words per minute. A month ago, I went to my village for my brother's wedding. My mother told me, please sir, come and have a seat. She did not recognize me. She asked, who are you? I told her, I am Ramesh, your son. As she didn't believe. Then I showed my ID card on which earlier photo was there. She looked at the photo for a while and hugged. And at the every moment she cried with the tears of happiness. I never can forget that experience. Thank you.
This still gives me goosebumps because it shows the potential that exists. Imagine 700 million Indians living in rural India, 400 million, 350 million youth. If we can tap the potential that exists, then all the other systemic issues that come along with it can be solved, right? So, which is where got us thinking. This was 6 years ago. We've subsequently trained 1,000 people like Ramesh in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, and we're now getting into Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, so on and so forth. 4 things come which tell us that there is a new rural that's emerging out there. One is that there is raw talent hungry for opportunities. We've seen more and more people like Ramesh come, spend 6 months, transform themselves. Interestingly, Ramesh, after the 8th month, started doing insurance claims processing from a place called Koppal for HDFC Standard Life. We ran the process for several years, and we continue to run a rural BPO run by such people. So essentially, we proved that sky's the limit in a way, and all of our trainees who are coming out from programs are reiterating that fact. So there is raw talent. All of these kids have global aspirations. We actually did an aspiration survey in Gadag, which is a Tier 4 town. And if I show you the results of the survey and say, guess where these students or youth may be, you would probably be tempted to say they're in Gurgaon or Bombay, right? Their aspirations are no different from what our metro youth have, right or wrong, right? Third is there's an indomitable entrepreneurial spirit, cowed down by a lot of risks, far more. In fact, I'm on the board of TIE Bangalore, and whenever any wannabe entrepreneur comes and says, what about the risk? I say, just go into any of the villages, talk to some of the people out there who are self-employed, and come back and let's talk about risk, right? It never fails to work, right? So one of the thought is that if you can bring the entrepreneurial spirit up front and reduce the risks involved, both financial and otherwise, then there is a throbbing powerhouse that is lying out there. And the last part, which you all know, I mean, in a country where we are likely to have more mobile phones than people, rural penetration of technology and access to technology is immense. Almost everybody accesses, in fact, they access more data on mobile phones than probably you and I do, because that sometimes is their only source of information. So if you put these four things together, you put talent, you put entrepreneurial spirit, you put aspirations, and you put information access, you can't call them rural anymore, because there's a certain negative perception. Therefore, we started calling them Rubens, right? So the Rubens are the new breed of rural youth who come together with these four things. In fact, we coined a term called Rubenomics as a new model of rural development. Happy to share that we've had our first center of Rubenomics set up at SP Jain a couple of months ago, where we want to bring mainstream thinking into rural development and not just look at it from the lens of subsidies, agri, livelihoods, and just basic subsistence. Not that these are not important, but there's a rural model that exists far beyond that. Now, if I were to view this conversation that we are having from this perspective and say, how do you look at a Ruben? From a financial inclusion perspective, you can look at it as talent that's available in the rural areas. You can look at it as consumers who are there with global aspirations. You can look at them as entrepreneurs who want to get into the picture, not just as another self-employed person, but as an entrepreneur. Then we are talking of a large resource pool. We are talking of a large market. And there is a way that we can do good, feel good, and make good money if you marry the social, nationalistic, and the business objectives. I just want to leave, I know, with Seva here from a women empowerment perspective. We just put a small 2-minute video together on specifically, one of the focuses is to get at least 25% of our batches to be women, which is a challenge because it's a residential program for 6 months, and we don't do it any other way. I'll just leave you with this, with a small video that we have. Let's go to sections. In the interest of time, I'll end it here, but I'm sure the rest of the panel will take the women empowerment part much further. But I just want to leave with the message saying that there is a resurgent India, like how there was a green revolution, a white revolution. I believe we're at the cusp of a Ruben revolution. If you look at talent and resources that exist in rural with that lens, and I look forward to working with all of you to make that happen. Thank you.